Justice League calling Flash. Justice League calling Flash. I had to do that. Hey, welcome to Father's Day edition. This is the Flash father and son spoiler review. This is Seth Kustosh.
How's it going, fellas?
And I'm Dad. I'm V, as you know. And yeah, so we're going to talk about the Flash. And before we do, Seth has loved Flash since since he was a wee little lad.
That's a wee lad.
But just wanted to do a shout out to Christian in the UK for the both of us before we started, because he's also been waiting for this movie his entire life.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Yeah, let's talk about the Flash.
Yeah. What was your initial reaction to the film in terms of the way it was advertised? Did you feel the trailer had let us know anything or not? That's just my first question to you.
My whole thing going into it was, is it going to be a cohesive piece of story?
Mm-hmm.
Because from like whatever we've seen and heard, and then there's different stories, there's different edits, and and the issues and the plague and everything else. There is a lot working against it, new ownership, all this other stuff, rumors, and what. I was just hoping, because we've been waiting for a Flash movie forever, and so this is directed by Andy Muschietti, and
he did really good on the tone of this film.
Oh yeah,
I was actually surprised. Not that I thought it was going to be anything bad or anything, but just with all the stuff going on and hearing things about reshoots or rewriting it and all the drama that happened with Ezra Miller and whatnot.
So you first became enamored with the Alex Ross Flash.
Correct.
And then turns out we became friends with the model for that.
Yes.
And Corey Smith, we've been friends for years. And of course, we had the Justice League version with Michael Rosenbaum voicing, and, again, great character. And then, Grant Gustin. And then when the Flash initially happened, they were in like season 1. So there's a lot of drama there. And now here's the new version, animated. And now the new stories that they're going to be telling in DC, actually like Flash's and Batman's gear there. But yeah. So what did you think going into it?
I think all right, I'm sorry. I thought it was going to be very different in terms of tone. I didn't think it was going to be as lighthearted. I know the trailers kind of made you think it was going to be lighthearted and everything, but I thought it was going to be a lot. I don't know. I didn't think it was going to be as dark as it was. The ending. I know this is a spoiler review, so I'm just going to get right into it.
Right.
But I mean, yeah. Let's just get right into it. Like the ending, they literally kill Michael Keaton's Batman over and over and over again.
Right.
I'm just getting right into it. But to me, I mean, that's just insane to me that I don't think that wouldn't have been done, just because in every superhero film you've seen in the past, in my opinion, majority speaking, I mean, it always has the perfect ending. Even if it's not the perfect ending, we'll bring him back, and because it's a different like if they truthfully went back to the truthful, it's not an alternate version of the Keatonverse. It is that his actual Earth. If they actually did that, he is actually dead.
Right.
And he went out a warrior too as well.
Right.
Which I think is
right. But do we know that that's the actual for sure universe? No, or could it be, or could they get him back in another multiverse where that Batman exists?
For sure. But I like the fact that it had more gravitas to it, because when you first watch it, and then Flash is going to run back in time yet again for the second or third time or fourth, fifth time, whatever in that film. Right. You're like, okay, he's just going to go back in time and fix it. There's just those things where it's
right, and they're
going to be predictable.
And they really couldn't do that too often, because a lot of people who went and saw this movie are Flash fans from the CW, and everyone's gone back to the house a million times. Mm-hmm. So like they had to kind of use that sparingly. Sometimes that just because Flashpoint and animated and everything else, we've seen that part of the story 1,000 times.
100%.
So like they had to like kind of squeak it. That's why they changed it, into a can of.
I really like the way they did Savitar as well. They showed him really early in the film,
Mm-hmm.
and the way he was portrayed in the first part of the film, you couldn't see his face at all. And I think maybe you saw
Oh, I saw it because then when there was
saw
the
a little
rip
bit of it, yeah.
that was closing, you saw was Savitar.
But I'm saying like you couldn't see the face in terms of you could tell it's like again spoilers already again, but you couldn't tell that it was Barry older, of course,
Right.
Um, so I thought that was really good. Ezra Miller did a fucking insane job as an actor on this movie, in my opinion. He didn't do too corny. It was completely separated characters every time. They were also to go along with the spaghetti theme in this movie. There was certain things that he knew he had to almost match, but do almost like a different version of it slightly,
Right.
while keeping a completely different version of the character going on as well.
Right. There's also though a little bit of this self-flagellation where the Flash was it the Flash, the script speaking or Ezra speaking that he knows that he's a lot for some people, and is basically taking himself to task for his behaviors. So is that part of the script, or is that part of the script that was altered? Is that him trying to say so? So there's a lot of different. But anyway, so it starts out with the hospital scene. And then, Alfred, of course, calls him, and Flash has to go clean up the Batman mess that he always makes. And I think with those 6 babies flying down, or 7, however many there were. If it was 7, that'd be funny because that's the Justice League number. So I think there's something up with that one baby. Somewhere down the line, that one baby's there's something.
The one baby that was seen when Flash took his.
Yeah, but that was the one baby that was focused on in the aerial. That was pretty cool. They had so much shit going on visually,
and to build the tension immediately in terms of show are all these babies going to die? That's pretty heavy.
Right. Usually they do one. When they start with that many, I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, it's either going to be extremely dark or going to be really lightful in the end of the scene. And I think it was reminiscent of I believe Bryan Singer's depiction of Quicksilver when he was wearing the goggles and he was running across the whole mansion. It was very similar to that in terms of he had all this time to do stuff, do all these extra things, and it's also a cool thing, a tone in the movie that's the only place where Flash feels that he can actually shut everything off around him and just.
It's the only time when he can pay attention.
Yeah, because he can go so fast, he could actually be there as long as he wants to, hypothetically.
Right.
Like in one moment.
And an intercut with this is the Batman chase. And Ben Affleck swoops in with the Batwing and then gets, he's chasing the dude on the bat cycle, and really good. There's a couple tongue-in-cheek stuff. They got the humor okay with him because he's still a heavier character still because of Zach. But I thought they got the lightness, and then
also with the lightness too. I thought that was weird towards the end of that scene. I'm like, why did he just look like that? Like, why did he use that certain dialogue? And it was.
You're talking about Wonder Woman.
Yeah, when he was still attached to the rope that that Wonder Woman had and everything.
Right.
So it was certain things where like if you truthfully if you missed it in terms of
because they even made a different mask for him to have a goofy look.
Reactionary.
Yeah, like he was all like, oh.
Yeah, it was like a different hero prop.
Right. So luckily she didn't ask him some certain questions.
Do you think Wonder Woman was wasted cameo? I've heard things, certain reactions.
I don't know. I always like seeing Wonder Woman on screen.
Yeah, I don't believe it was a wasted cameo at all. I've just seen things floating around online like that.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the actress, so why wouldn't
Yeah, I mean,
too bad there wasn't another scene in there with her.
Yeah, that's
doing something.
That's kind of what people were elaborating on. Is like why have her in there for just that or whatnot. I mean, but I think it's also too, it's because it's early on in the film and you're still on a present version of Flash's Earth as well.
Yeah, you still have Justice League taste in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
So to kind of see, okay, you got,
Yeah.
But then there's the coffee douchebag, and he's like, "Oh, is that fast enough for you?" And
Yeah.
so he goes to him, and then he goes to work, and there's kind of like these, the bumbling crew of misfits that he works with at the police station, and there was this just the way that the one guy was riding a glider. Something's up with that dude too. I don't know what it is, but
oh yeah,
something's up with that guy. If they ever did Amalgamated, that guy's going to wind up being the Goblin.
gotcha.
Yeah, but which I think they're probably. That's my theory, is they're going to work towards amalgamation at some point. But yeah, so then Bruce shows up in his $2 million Mercedes or whatever.
So yeah, I think it was like a concept Maybach. If I believe I saw the logo right, I think it was a concept Maybach.
Yeah,
Probably a one of one, and probably can't even drive in real life more than 10 miles per hour.
right.
Like those things are always falling apart, but they look so cool just because they're one of their concept vehicles.
Right. And then Iris walks up, and they have a discussion, and he's acting like, oh, you remember me? It was a weird disconnect.
There was a weird
for this scene.
For this scene, yeah, and I think Iris, the actress that plays Iris, I don't know her name. She did really good in the film, but there were some scenes where I'm not saying the acting was off, but there were certain scenes where her emotion being portrayed, I think, was misconstrued on purpose, because in one scene, Barry is telling Iris about basically what happened to his parents, and the footage, and
that's way ahead of where.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, and even in that moment, you saw it was almost like a different version of that character.
Right,
There's
like
just different tone
like
changes.
they had been hanging around for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like so it was like an awkward. Oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a bunch of years, and then asked a question about his dad with the trial. How do you know about the trial? Well, I'm covering for the paper. Yada yada yada. So she apologizes and then goes to his place later, and then he's being a goofball, gets her a couple of beers, and yeah, she had mentioned something in that conversation, and all. Then they're talking about tomatoes, and then we see Savitar when he goes into the multiverse, and there's a lot. Oh, and then he goes and finds the other Barry Allen, or his mom actually, and then finds Barry as he's eating dinner at their table, and so then it's the apartment scene with Barry's strange roommates, and they have this whole discussion on Back to the Future and how Eric Stoltz is he did a fantastic acting job in that movie, and Tom Cruise was in Footloose, and Kevin Bacon was in Top Gun, and all this other stuff.
Were all those like alternate actors that could have been or were in the running at
Eric
the time
Stoltz
of all those films?
Shot for like 5 weeks on Back to the Future, then he got fired.
In the other films that they had mentioned, were any of those actors?
Well, they were all at the same time, so they're probably up for the
auditioned.
same roles. You know what I mean?
I think there was a certain tone in the movie as well that had to do with films that were never going to be made to go on screen, or things that you would think that would never wind up being on screen.
Right, winding me up subconsciously.
We got in this movie.
Yeah. And so they start. So Barry 1 starts looking to the computer, see if he can find any other Justice League members, and of course they can't find. There's no Clark Kent. There's no Cyborg is still. He hasn't become Cyborg yet, so they can't use Stone. So then Aquaman, but they couldn't find him.
Yeah, because he was a dog.
He was a dog.
Pretty sure he was a dog in the movie. He calls Aquaman's dad in the film.
That's right.
And then
right.
He was a dog, so that's where Aquaman was. Just because he had just named his dog Arthur Curry, and I guess somehow had contact information for him.
Right. So then they can't find, and the only person they can find, is Bruce Wayne. So they go to Wayne Manor, and so they just assumed, which was weird, because if he didn't Google Bruce Wayne because then he would have seen it was a different Batman right away. But anyway, so they go to Wayne Manor and they break in and they start playing 25 or 64 by the band Chicago, and you see Keaton come in, like a ninja kitten, and he just kicks
on the
their ass.
counter.
Yeah,
The way he snuck up with like complete silence and ninja and
right,
and everything in the first scene was pretty cool.
yeah.
And you never saw his face during any of those fight scenes.
Oh, I skipped the whole part of when Flash becomes Flash. Flash 2 becomes Flash 2.
Yeah, that was also crazy how they had done that. Yeah, and we will kind of be all over the place, and so just because this movie does go all over the place,
right?
Back.
It serves
forth.
our ADD and
right.
ADHD.
But yeah, it's not a step by step in terms of reviews, but it is just insane how the first Flash made the second Flash, the Flash.
Right.
There wasn't, it's like altering with so many timelines and creating another sub universe from the sub universe.
And no one asked him how he got the name Flash because you know who gave him the name Flash. Grant Gustin gave him the name Flash and Crisis on Infinite Earths on the CW crossover. So that's how he got his name, The Flash.
And I if we're bringing that up, I have to talk about it in terms of that was one of the cameos that had never made it throughout the film.
Yeah.
And there might have been I don't know because there's
it's not even the Jay Garrett guy. That's not even the guy from Arrowverse. It's a different actor.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Well, at least that's what they're saying. It's credited to a different.
It looked like a very similar actor, but I thought the suit was different. But yeah, no, I thought that was pretty bogus. But there's also probably going to be an extended cut of the movie, director's cut, deleted scenes and everything and whatnot. And I think with all the versions of editing this movie and everything, I think it could have been appropriate. I don't know. I haven't seen those scenes where, what could have we seen and whatnot. Would it have been a wasted cameo perceived as?
Yeah. So Flash 1's hanging out with Flash 2. And they're like, oh, in a half hour, what's the date? Oh, in a half hour from now is when the lightning strikes it. So they go there, and of course they're arguing. He's like, what? I'm going to get hit by lightning. And of course, in typical Flash fashion, winds up that it goes through Barry Allen 1 into Barry Allen 2, the younger one. And now Barry loses his powers, and the kid now has the powers.
Yeah.
And then him learning his power, Barry's trying to talk to him, and he's too all over the place.
He's all as if he just done a bunch of speedy drugs.
Face to the floor. Mm-hmm. He started his clothes started on fire, and he created a big ruckus downtown and stuff. And so that was kind of funny.
I think there's another thing in this that even though it was kind of it was perceived that the second version of Barry Allen, as soon as you see him before he gets the powers, he's pretty ignorant and very immature.
Yeah.
But I think there's a certain reoccurring thing here that every Flash in every universe is extremely smart.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be the Flash first, because that was just a human Barry Allen, and he didn't have responsibilities, so you have to think deep, or you have to be responsible. Because he didn't have any responsibilities.
Right, because none of his stuff really had real world implications. It was all.
Yeah, and he was just a human. Yeah, you're not trying to save multiverses as a human because you're not the Flash, And so when he got those, there was a certain thing where you see him starting to realize things and understand more. And Flash 1 is saying, you don't understand. Like when will you understand the gravity of the situation? When will you understand?
Right. Right. It's like trying to get him to, take things seriously. But so back to Keaton. So I thought it was great to see Keaton back as Batman. And because I saw the first Batman in my 1971 Cadillac Eldorado, the Silver Sled, at a drive-in with my buddy Dave and So that was you know, it was interesting, you know, all these years later that
And,
you know, he's still and he's, you know, he's always going to be a great Batman.
and he technically, yeah, that was my first Batman as a kid too, because I didn't see, or
Yeah.
the Christian Bale's movies weren't out,
Right.
and you know, we had the DVD, and I remember it was like the plastic one that like clipped around. It wasn't the click; it was like a
Right.
clip around one, and
Well,
it
yeah.
had, you know,
Well, yeah,
Michael
when you were
Keaton.
ready for Batman, it was the Keaton Batman movies and then right into the animated.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And they did really good on his suit. I thought they were going to do
Yeah.
something horrible with the suit. Just when they had mentioned he's going to possibly be in the film, I figured, oh my
Right.
gosh, you know, they're probably going to do something really bad to it. They're going to change the yellow. They're going to change the black. Like everything they're going to change. And they didn't really change too much. Although they
Mhm.
did, they just modernized it and sharpened up some lines. But they
Yeah.
kept the fact that he can't move his neck. So I was pretty happy with that. Maybe he could move his neck in that one. He just, you know, tried to stay restricted.
Could be because
but
there's more to his character.
Yeah.
Because it became part of it.
100%.
So then so they convince Bruce to help him out on this quest to go find the Kryptonian, and they think that Clark is hidden away somewhere, and but it's not Clark, it's Kara. So who is Supergirl, and so they break into this Russian. You know, they got the cool Batwing. The Batwing's badass. The way it was rotating, and he was staying in the same place. And
which is all a nod. All of that comes back to Christian Bale's
yeah,
take on Batman when he had the did they call it the Prowler too? Was that called? Was that, I think that machine was actually called the Prowler as well.
in the real,
The motorcycle, and
yeah,
yeah, it's because the wheels spun and rotated when he can do that. And there's also a nod to that when Ben Affleck's scene in the beginning of the film is taking a big turn. You know, they're going really fast. They build up this, and so yeah, they didn't do the you know, the spinning of it, but they did a skipping of it.
right.
And it was a total nod, you know.
And then when he turned on the Batwing, you saw the nod to Batman 66 with the jet flame.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a ton of Easter eggs in this movie, and you know, people will be like, "Oh, this movie's a piece of," and blah. You know, I went to the movie to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a
You know,
that's
like
a
that's
huge
how
part
I
of it,
walked
too.
into it. You know, I'm not sitting there.
Yeah, and you
What
know,
the fuck?
yeah, there's nothing wrong with wanting to have a character treated like, you know, the character like it was when you were a
Yeah.
kid and the way you remembered it. But like the same thing there too is you know, things. It's not that things change or anything like that. I think it's more the sense that it was always there in the beginning as entertainment.
Right.
It's
See, because I saw in the earlier movies that Flash was a wasted character.
mm.
You know, he didn't really serve any purpose.
Yeah, he was in the. It's almost like a Quicksilver again,
Right,
with
and he was
with
just
X-Men.
annoying.
He's just annoying.
So to get to see, you know, of
The
course you're
smart
hearing
detective
about all
side.
what's going to happen, and you know, I'm 54, so I have 50 years of Flash stories and what could be's and what couldn't be's, and so and then Seth, of course, it was he thought he was Flash when he was a kid.
I remember.
So watch how fast I can run.
I remember doing that and asking my parents, like, "Do you see the blur?" And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I had to explain, like, the blur, like the
The blur from running.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Clear as day.
Yeah, that was.
But and then so they get down into the Russian thing, and Michael Keaton.
Oh yeah, he's trying to do a pump fake on like one of the like the Russian signs, and it's just to show how hard Russians are too.
Yeah,
they don't
just some old dude,
fuck.
beard down here. He's like saying, he's like, "Kid," and he like pulls this thing up and brings out a gun.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. And it was cool to see Keaton do Batman funny.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, even though he was serious, he was put in a funny moment.
Yeah, it was also embraced of the tone of how the movie was perceived back then, because Tim Burton made it a pretty serious movie for the most part too. It's not like he really played it serious,
set in a satirical,
but it was it was set in kind of like a La La Land, if you will, of things.
Yeah, because they had to go halfway Batman 66 for people,
Mhm.
not them, but the studio made him go kind of that way.
Correct.
But the bulletproof cape, I thought that was pretty badass.
Yeah, was that
He
ever
was like,
shown in the original
I don't,
Keaton movies?
I don't remember. I think it was in the animated,
Got you. I mean, the cape had to have been. I feel like there was a scene with the cape. I don't.
but
I
maybe
don't.
something was thrown at it, or his
Yeah,
knives,
or
or
fire or something.
yeah. Most likely fire or ice. So okay, so they get down there and they get into this thing. They break into it, and it's not Clark, it's a girl. And they're like, oh, well, this isn't Clark. And so we find out that, well, later on. But anyway, but it's still a Kryptonian, but it's Kara, who is Supergirl. And, uh, so basically they break Supergirl out. And as they get her into the sun, of course, she brings in the yellow rays of the sun and just fucking kicks ass.
Yeah.
She's like throwing people a mile and a
brutally,
kicking them
murdering people. Yeah,
up against a brick wall. I was like, yeah.
yeah. I thought that was.
Yeah, I think she did a great job.
She did really good.
Didn't break a stride, didn't look, you know, I'm talking as a 50-year-old fan, didn't look out of place. I've seen all the Supergirls, all the there's multiverses, and I think she was great. Her suit looked phenomenal.
Mm.
Her acting was really good, and she could do the action scenes.
Yeah, and hopefully, and
I'd like to see more.
I'd seen a post on her Instagram, and she said that there was a lot taken out from that scene actually, and there was two rated R, and so basically, it's basically what it come down to. So hopefully those things come out on.
Probably just like
yeah, exactly.
People's heads up with their action.
And I think there probably would have been scenes that were inspired by what is it, Homeland, or what's the ones, the boys, or
oh well, yeah, the boys
or whatever it is, yeah.
But in the the graphic novel, when they break out Kal-El, and he's just a waif, and then he slaughters out like probably 1,000 people.
Got you.
Army and like all that stuff. In the New Frontiers animated, they did it too, where he comes out and but yeah, I thought they that was good. And she even looked like her haircut is literally how it looked in the animated New Frontiers.
Gotcha.
And they were saying like how like the new feel for DC is going to be the New Frontiers kind of vibe.
They also continued the theme with Henry Cavill's Superman, the symbol meaning like hope, and everything. They continue that with Flash having hope in this female version of Superman, so he thinks that she will find trust in them and whatnot, and he can basically have her on his team,
right,
or on the team in general. And so I thought like that tone followed through from beginning all the way to end with all their scenes.
Also, more a super more his age that he could relate to, because he's the young guy on the team.
That is true.
And then also there's a subtle scene there when they're back from the fight and they've got Kara and they're about to electrocute the shit out of Flash, when you see Keaton sewing himself up, giving himself stitches.
Electrocute the shit out of Flash to give him back his powers.
Yes.
By the way. Which was done through
a la Frankenstein.
Through the Batwing that was hanging as like
the kite.
Yeah, as the kite basically.
So like he did that with a subtle delight on his face, stitching up his arm. He's bleeding.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like there was this little, slight Keaton smile. So Kara, Barry brings Kara up to the roof, and she literally gets her moment in the sun, and her Supergirl suit, and the suit's fantastic, man.
And that scene you're talking about where Michael Keaton is sewing himself up, I think that was foreshadowing that like I said again, that like he is gonna go out as a warrior in the film.
Yeah, look at that suit. I mean, the lines are great. That would be, we've been wanting a suit like this for a long time from some of the, every time something comes out, every superhero movie for the past 20 years, we're, oh, look at this. Oh, check this.
The director is also awesome for keeping
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's vision live.
He had a lot to juggle, and he did it masterfully. And he's also doing Batman the Brave and the Bold. I can't wait to see it or anything else.
He's going to kill that shit.
Dude, and he's got a shitty attitude.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, it's a good
shitty attitude. He's like, oh, yeah, this is the best thing you're ever going to,
Yeah.
It really, I totally dig the guy.
Yeah, he's not a...
And his wife's his producing partner.
He's not like pretentious or anything. He's not pretending his shit don't stink. It's not that type of attitude.
No, he's just confident in his filmmaking and storytelling abilities and his willingness to work with
He understands your emotions before you've seen the film, and he's just trying to kind of bait you.
He doesn't come at you like an adversary.
And just come see the film.
Right. He's like, ha, ha, ha. Right. I know something you don't.
Yeah, it's similar to the way James Gunn advertised his films.
Yeah.
In terms of tonally on social media and whatnot.
And so then they do the Frankenstein test, and you see Keaton using his 60-year-old machines with round dials, and of course he's like, for the record, I think this is insane, and they do it anyway, and it doesn't work, and then Kara shows back up in her suit all charged up, and she takes him up into the heavens, and Flash is back.
And Flash isn't back yet. When Kara brings Flash down, the second version of Barry now is looking at what is a dead Flash, because his heart is not beating yet because it was stopped from that shock. And so he just does the thing, which is from Zack Snyder's movie, the tone of the painting and everything of when they go like this, that whole tone of kind of like God and man, religion and myth and all that stuff. That
he will soon become a god.
Yeah.
With a spark of lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the Frankenstein scene,
and it's also full circle from the original Flash giving the second Flash his powers. Now the second Flash just gave the first Flash. It's just almost redoing what you did in time, which is a consistent tone in this film.
Right. So then after that, Barry 2 or Flash 2 starts building the suit out of an old Batman suit, and but he has to be careful with it because something about the hyperstatic electricity.
If you run too fast, it'll burn off.
Well, he also has to release.
Oh, there's two
lightning. You must release.
There's there's like all the kinetic energy that's building up. Basically, if you rub your socks and stuff, it's like the same thing, and it can get really bad. It can kill him, or people around.
Right. So then it's
back real quick to the when the Flash is building the suit out of the old Batman suits. The best scene is when they're cutting off the bat ears. It's just it's just the audio of cutting off the bat ears.
Whoever edited this, there's like 2 or 3 little brief moments that are total film school edits. They don't really belong there. They're clumsy. Yeah. They're short, but they're fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and it's I'm not gonna say it's edited poorly, but it's almost done like in a rush to be like, it's funny. Who gives a fuck?
Right, but sometimes keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Like
because it's so awkward because it takes your mind off of what's going to happen with the awkward cut, and then you see the comedy bit.
Yeah, there's almost like there's so much buildup and things to like focus on. It makes you jump out.
Yeah, because no actor's informing you with dialogue that something's funny. It's the fucking sound,
Yeah.
Yeah. And
one of those moments too is when Michael Keaton, Batman is explaining to the Flashes about how these multiverses, which he seemed oddly to know a lot about, of course, but those multiverses and everything, they connect and and he wants Barry 1 to test the sauce. And so there's like a conversation. He doesn't verbally bring up test the sauce or anything. It's just cut to Barry cut to Michael Keaton. When it cuts back to Barry, you just a spoon with sauce just enters the frame, and then when they cut back, Michael Keaton's hand is nowhere near that. I mean, it's
yeah, and like
it's done on purpose.
Yeah.
There's no way you miss that. You know, like it was done horribly on purpose. But it's
like
not
something
that
you do
ruins
to
the
your
scene.
good buddy to get him to shut up because they're wasted, and, you know, or you're cooking and you're like, here, man.
Yeah.
But totally funny. So the children of the world. There was a line, the children of the world. I still think there's something up with these babies, whether it's cloning, you know, maybe those are Kal-El, you know, because supposedly, as we'll find out here, like, anyway.
Well, I mean, it may be. It did. This is gonna prove how much stuff was going on in the Flash in a good way, but like Zod never died in the end, right? No, Zod never dies in the end of this film. I don't believe so, unless there was just so much going on.
Yeah, it did.
He did.
Yeah. No, wait.
He never
Yes.
died. Yeah, it's because I don't know, because I mean something about you know, cloning.
Oh, now you fucked me all up.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is I don't think so. You would I believe remember that. I mean,
Wait a minute.
Zod kills Supergirl in every
Right. Okay. It says there's nothing. You know, there's nothing. It's like no, there's nothing you
because
can.
it's a cross point, you know.
Right.
And so what I think is
so that world is lost.
So pardon me.
And that's why, he became Savitar. Was part of that, and finding out about.
And I think to do with that, with it's maybe in later in those universes that affected these cross points and everything, because when he's meshing two worlds together, is he's making brand new cross points now, cross points that already existed, and now cross points that do exist because of that. So I think maybe Zod, you know, he could make all those babies Doomsday babies or whatever it is, you know. And they also bring up that in that universe where Kara is the Supergirl, Kal-El never made it. The infant never made it.
Or in a different universe, he saved the same 7 kids, but those kids wound up being the Justice League. Some kind of weird fucking, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Who know, you know?
Yeah, and but yeah, I think there's just so much to juggle.
Right.
With
and then Zod goes to Kara, oh, we've been waiting for you. So how many times has he gone through this knowing that?
Well, is he waiting for? Does he have an army that's waiting for him from the blood and everything? That's basically what it is, you know, because he's trying to say that, you know, get her blood. And yeah, man, this director is ruthless with the variations of these timelines, and you know, these certain cross points, and like making you see the same thing differently,
right?
Which is already like not horrible in a sense of it was made.
And kudos
made
to the editor who probably was being driven insane.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It's insane that you're going to see something that, as a fan, it feels horrible to watch because it could be something, you know, something bad happening to a character that you like a lot, you know, which we see happen to, it's just crazy that we see that to happen to Supergirl and Batman, you know, over and over again.
Yeah. So they're having this big battle back from, what was that? Man of Steel, or is that from Superman versus
Justice League or
what? When they go to meet the Colonel, who was Martian Manhunter, but you didn't see Martian Manhunter in this version of what happened.
Yeah, it was Man of Steel.
So either he's still around or he's into that universe. But when he kills the soldier and he goes back and they start fighting, that's from what movie originally?
That was from. It takes place on a different location,
right,
but
right.
That
was Superman.
That was from Superman, Man of Steel. Yeah.
Okay, so so Flash during that fight, Flash 2, the younger one, gets a cut on his face, and you could see him. You could see the trauma set in right there. That that he's going to be an asshole.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
because and also another thing that was weird to me is that there was something.
And you saw first Flash vibrate into someone's chest, a Kryptonian, and fucking kill him.
Yeah,
That to me was weird to see Flash just outright kill somebody.
Mm. I think that it also happened maybe on the second or third time they try to fix that scene in a timeline too. He could be getting fed up with things because he's trying to go back so many times. He's like, all right, fuck it,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. So then the terraforming begins, and basically says that Kal-El they found the ship that Kal-El was on, and the baby didn't survive, is what he said. And but that doesn't mean the baby's dead. Our theory is that it's was it Apocalypse?
Mm.
Yeah, because it basically was a clone of a Kryptonian, and they needed, oh, but we need your blood. So Zod's from Chicago, so Michael Shannon, right on, brother.
Yeah. Also, shout out Michael Shannon just for the fact that he stuck up for Zack Snyder
Yeah,
throughout this whole filming process and in his press tour. I mean, everything. There's a reason why these actors are sticking up for Zack Snyder.
right.
Not only is he is the Jon Favreau of DC, the
Mhm.
way I perceive it, but or was the
Yeah.
Jon Favreau of DC, I guess you can say. But he is the original, though.
Well, I mean, I've worked with Zack Snyder a number of times when he was doing commercials, and he's a stand-up guy.
Yeah, he just seems real, and I will say, I don't know, I'm not happy with the way Warner Brothers did Zack Snyder as well.
No, and hopefully James Gunn will be able to, everyone's
Rectify.
like, oh, but everyone needs to stop bitching for 1 second. My
Yeah.
God. And embrace what you like,
Remove
man.
the stick.
Make something, yeah. Remove the stick.
Yes.
Moist.
Fucking hate that word.
Yeah. So okay, let's get to the special effects. Now, a lot of people are bitching. Oh, well, the fucking CGI was bullshit during when they're doing the multi-world. Well, yeah, but as you said, it's like the thing on the Kryptonians. It's in reference to that because it's old technology. Kryptonians
to
way
bring
old.
it into further context.
But they colorized it and they added stuff from like the Wonder Woman.
If for whatever reason you're watching this and you haven't seen the film, but you're still watching a spoiler review,
right?
Dick. Yeah, right. Can't believe you. But no, and for whatever reason, if that's the case, when Flash is going back in time, he creates like a bubble, almost like when you see the Terminator when he spawns in.
Yeah, and basically what that's supposed to do is the Flash
bending time and space.
No, the running machine that he has that replaced that.
Gosh, you. And so when he's running back in time and everything, and there's a bubble, what it's surrounding the bubble is all these CGI memories, these fourth dimensional CGI memories, physical space and time. It's interstellar kind of vibes because there's a physical space and time, and he can bend time and light and space.
Yeah, so you see it like a bowl, like this, like you're in a coliseum, and he's in the middle of this running like a hamster wheel.
Yeah, there's like a coliseum,
and so that's how you.
And so yeah, when he stops in the moment because he's running so fast, he can stop for so long. He stopped in that exact moment.
And what was interesting, they actually put in a little scene at the back computer with Barry earlier, with a rollerball mouse to give people the subconscious clue on this is how it works.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Because it was a honking rollerball.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It wasn't.
But. Yeah, and I'll give two perspectives of the CGI and whatnot. I was going into the film thinking that, oh my gosh, what I saw from these trailers, I'm not gonna fucking like the CGI in this film. That's what I was just thinking, going in, just being honest. And I didn't have that harsh mindset going into it, but I was happy with everything that I saw.
I mean, because of the people who pre-spoil stuff, like this is a spoiler review. We're not ruining it for everyone. It's in the title, spoiler review.
Oh yeah, spoiler review. That's why I came out the gauges.
So yeah, we have to see things so fast sometimes because we don't want it ruined. Because some jerk will go on and say, oh, like that's bogus. So you know what I mean. So not to have it spoiled, and then because of everything's like that, they have to have all these different cuts, and they have fake trailers and shots that aren't in the movie or in the trailer or in the marketing that so you piss off some people. But you know, people are so ruthless with their spoilers just to be like mean or negative.
Yeah, and they won't title it spoiler this or that, you know.
Right.
I remember when I believe it was I think Spider-Man. I think because there was a world premiere that happened like a day before or whatnot, you know, and then you had the people from the press or online and podcasters who got to invited to the event and whatnot, got to see it as well. The pen's all fucked up there. Show him your hand at it. Fucking pen's all fucked
Look
up.
at that. All fucked up from a fucking pen.
So, but I don't know where I was going from there. That's fucking pen.
Uh-huh.
But
yeah, the movie was great. I mean, I went into it hoping. Go ahead.
No, and so yeah, and but yeah, the thing is when you don't title something spoiler this or spoiler that, you know,
Right.
like it fucking sucks when you have been waiting your whole life to see this fucking film take place.
Right, because someone
not
spoiled
only you're fucking
Star
over
Wars.
2 generations
Right.
of people, Michael Keaton's generation, you know, of seeing that Batman and now seeing this.
Right.
You know, like for my show. So now it's like you're fucking up because there's all these multiverses. It's like you're pissing off grandpa, grandma, cousins,
yeah,
babies.
I
3 generations.
I still think that they have to do a Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne. I would that would be my dream Batman movie.
As kick-ass as the Clint Eastwood project that was you know.
Right, that can't happen because it's impossible because he's 300 years old.
Yeah, I understand.
But Michael Keaton is still kicking ass.
Yeah, Michael Keaton's still kicking ass. But which, by the way, that would be,
so is Clint, but
that probably would be I mean, get off my lawn. You know?
Get off my lawn.
That's all.
Yeah, you want to come on my lawn? Come on.
What was that movie called? Was it El Camino? That movie?
No, it was Gran Torino.
Gran Torino. Sorry. That was great. Totally random. But he had a he had a Batman tone in that one. He's like an old Bruce Wayne in that movie just by himself. But.
Yeah, so yeah, I would love to see Batman return. So now, where does the DCU go from here? What's gonna, and here's the whole thing. It could end right there, and it doesn't matter because it's a flashpoint. Different. It could be in a different
and now
universe.
things take place in a different universe, and they can always revisit.
And now the story is here.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think it all depends how much money the film makes for the possible creative control. Because I mean, I know James Gunn is the head of everything, but
right.
Who does he have to answer to?
Well, the shareholders, but also he's the creative guy.
Yeah.
And the other guy takes care of the production.
So I think that's a very good thing. It's something that you haven't had before necessarily.
Well, right.
But the bad side in that is maybe if creatively wants to go somewhere, if this movie isn't doing great, and maybe because of the antics with Ezra Miller, let's say Ezra Miller fucking slaps another girl today, and there's a whole nother new headline, and you're like, Jesus, Ezra, like again, it's like, why, if there's another thing like that, then it has to be taken in a whole different direction.
Oh, well, right. I mean, it's not like all this stuff's new. Back in the day, they used to hide it. They used to, sweep it under the rug. They'd have, private investigators. And by the way, your great aunt owned a clinic for troubled Hollywood stars in Beverly Hills back in the 40s.
I remember hearing something like that, I guess.
She was part of the cover-ups, but, things always, things happen. And now PR's everything, and there's a news cycle. They always need some new content. And to keep people divided over something they love is really kind of stupid because the fans wind up losing out in the end. I personally don't like Ezra Miller as an actor. I think he's annoying. This is the first thing, and I went into this disliking him, but I love the character of the Flash.
Yes.
I went into this not liking him, and by the end of the movie, I'm like, okay, wouldn't hang out with him, but I'd watch something else that he did. So he won me over in one way.
And plus, I mean,
and he didn't disservice the character at all.
No. And so far he's done good with press and everything. He did limited, interviews and whatnot.
Right.
But another thing to to add on to Ezra, yeah, I didn't necessarily. I'm not the biggest fan of him either, as just a person from what I've seen. But that you don't judge somebody from one thing and or just one space of time. Like with Robert Downey Jr.
Right. I mean, but
His
some of the
biggest comeback
stuff,
is horrible, and I think I don't know
beyond
if
reproach. Nothing's,
for
we have
sure.
to see
I
exactly what
think
happens.
Ezra Miller probably won't stay an actor. His and I
Well,
don't think he'll always.
that
stay
all
in that.
goes down to employment opportunity.
For sure.
So, we could still, who knows what's going to go on with, the Flash 2, or if there's going to be a Flash 2, if it goes right into Batman Brave and the Bold, because that's the next movie for Machete. So,
And going back to, going all the way back to where how they don't show Grant Dustin from the CW. He doesn't have those cameos, even though Ezra cameoed in the CW Flash. Right. I think, to your point, we had a conversation off camera right after we saw the film where it's like, why didn't they show him? Why didn't they show him? Right. And maybe in the second one, he's got way bigger role to play. He maybe is the main character, which is the Flash.
Right. Or
Flash
they
is
could
the main
make him,
character. So.
Could have to do with contract shit. And, only Ezra can play this character for, this amount of whatever. And okay, well, Ezra gets, quote unquote, killed off or sent into another Speed Force or whatever. And Wally West just happens to look just like Grant Gustin. And now you've got your Flash and a whole new universe. Because I'm not sure which Flash was in Batman the Brave and the Bold animated. Someone might want to check that out. If it's actually Wally West, I might be onto something. But
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, with all the deleted scenes too, I guess we'll see possibly where the DCU can go.
Right, and they could probably, they could probably ask. Here's a great idea, and send me a check, Warner Brothers.
Thank you.
Here's the deal. On your website, have a 25 question questionnaire. Whatever the answers are, boom, goes into some kind of bullshit algorithmic blah blah blah, and it spits out what cut they send you.
Got you.
Based on what you like as a fan. Based on
your answers, yeah, I'll give you a questionnaire. Yeah, based on your answers.
Yeah.
Statistically, you're probably more
because it's all digital. It's not like there's splicing and recutting on tape. So the few tweaks that already exist on a hard drive,
for sure. Which DC is known to go back and reunite things with the Zack Snyder team.
And DC Animated has always been top notch, blows Marvel away all the time, and I think they're doing a great job over there. But
yeah.
So anything else? What was your on the overall?
Visually, even going into the movie thinking that the CGI was going to be trashed from the trailers, just straight up. I'm really harsh with CGI just because I've always been able to pretty much tell if it's a practical something or if it's all CGI or if it's a mixed. Growing up, because he's my dad. What's it called? No, visually it was probably like a 8.7, 8.8. That's really good. I'm trying to be very critical here, like out of a 10, just because.
No, I agree with that. That's
the big fight scene where there's nothing in the background was done for a reason.
Also, because it was in the desert.
Also in the desert, but there's certain space that's filled within that. Things are spaced out, and you only see the camera in a tight area for certain reasons because the renderings are only happening in a small area, relatively. That's the only really scene that I was like, oh, okay, maybe, but other than that, it's not like it was pulling me away from the movie or anything like that. But yeah, overall, visually there, but in terms of overall, just my overall rating of the film, it's just I'd say like a solid 9, just actually a solid 9. It deserves a solid 9 because they did things that they weren't supposed to do.
Right.
They kill off characters you love.
Right.
They director doesn't give a fuck about the way a viewer feels in a good way.
I was surprised
because he's going to give you something different. You don't want to see the same shit every time. I was surprised
that they killed a woman. I was literally like, when they killed Carl, I'm like, no way. Mm-hmm. Like, I couldn't believe that. And then they did it again. I'm like, holy shit. And I expected Bruce to die the Warrior's death, but I told you that anyway.
Yeah.
Before that.
Yeah.
But I'll have to agree. I'll give it a solid 9.
But
that's it. Yeah. that's it, and we'll see you next time. And of course, go see Flash. And if you see this symbol right before you pass out, that means you're breaking the law.
And don't forget to wipe your ass.
And don't forget to wipe your ass. That's an inside story. Anyway, see you guys later.